Good afternoon, Villa fans, and welcome to a special podcast. Something that's gone maybe under the radar in the last few days is that Unai Emery has celebrated 3 years in charge at Aston Villa, and I wanted to take a look at some of the results that we've had in his time, and just talk a little bit about his sort of tenure here at Aston Villa and what a great job that he's been doing. Obviously he took over in sort of the 2022-2023 season after sort of Steven Gerrard had been sacked after a really poor result against Fulham. And then he sort of came in, and I want to talk about sort of my favourite sort of 15 kind of games of him in charge. Kind of in order, kind of not, but just, as I kind of remembered them. I haven't done masses and masses of kind of looking back, but these are the ones that sort of, I glanced at and I thought, yeah, I remember that. And yeah, I remember that. So just wanted to talk a little bit about that. But let's talk about the man himself. Unai Emery has come in and transformed Aston Villa from top to bottom. The way that we play, the backroom staff, the philosophy, everything is under Unai's, leadership. Nobody can do anything without his say so. I know that he has a very close knit of people around him that sort of, work closely with him. Obviously, we've got in Olabe replacing Monchi. We've got Bidagani, Austin McPhee's there, and you've got sort of other people involved that have been close to Unai for a number of years now, including Paco as well on the bench. So, yeah, so I just wanted to really talk about Unai Emery a little bit here. So he's currently the most successful Villa manager in terms of win percentage. He's got a 53% win ratio, which is the highest of any Villa manager. His record actually stands at 121 games in charge, 57 wins, 27 draws, and 37 losses, which equals 53% as a win kind of ratio there. And what he's done with this club absolutely transformed us. Got us back into Europe, which was so key. And obviously, with Unai's background of winning sort of European competitions, that was something from day dot when he came in that he wanted to re-establish Villa as a force, as a club that plays regularly in European football. And he's done that. In his first season, he came in and he secured a seventh place finish, which got us back into the UEFA Conference League, which I think was a fantastic competition for us to get back into Europe after so long, and have that as a competition. I thought it was a very good competition that we played in that one as well. And we went far in it. I think semi-finals, but eventually losing out to the eventual winners, Olympiacos. And then the following season after that, we followed it up with a top 6 finish, which gave us Champions League football for the first time in absolutely decades at Villa. And something that I never thought I would see Aston Villa dining at the top table of elite European football, and not just dining there, but absolutely feasting and enjoying it, going far, quarterfinals, and some of those results are definitely in this 15. Obviously, of my sort of favourite games under Unai Emery. And then as we fast forward to the present day, we've just come off a fantastic result against Manchester City, beating them again, which Unai seems to have Guardiola's number, especially at Villa Park. And we're currently in, I think, we're sitting in 8th position. Things didn't start off too great this season, but we've steadied it. We've had a couple of blips here and there with the go-ahead Eagles, but, Premier League-wise, we're sitting in 8th. We've got Liverpool coming up, who are kind of out of form. Dare I say it? Could we go to Anfield and win? Why not? Why not believe? You have to believe it to achieve it. So that's what Unai Emery kind of gives you in terms of that belief structure. But looking back at these 15 results, I mean, as I said, I haven't done these in order. I've just done these off the cuff and memory. I'd love to know if I've missed any out. Are there any sort of results or games or particular goals? I'm not going to go into details about goals so much. Maybe that's a different podcast. But, my favorite sort of results, I mean, the first one that stands out at number 1 is obviously last season and playing PSG at Villa Park and beating them 3-2 and just losing out by that odd goal, and really, really pushing them where they were hanging on. I think Luis Enrique said that Villa were the toughest team that he had faced, going all the way through to winning the Champions League. So, absolute credit. And that night there, when Ezri Konsa scored, Rashford was getting shots off at Donnarumma, McGinn putting that one in the top corner. I mean, the game was kind of lost. We were 2-0 down in that leg as well, at Villa Park, and everyone had kind of dismissed any kind of chance for us getting back into the game. But then Tielemans getting a goal in the first half, McGinn with that run and finish, and then when Ezri Konsa scored after Rashford's kind of cuts it back to him after, did he nutmeg one of the Hakimi on that wing? It was unbelievable noise. I wasn't there, but I was watching it on TV, and what a noise. What a great performance to push aside like PSG, especially when you're 2-0 down in that game, and overall you're 5-2 down in the leg. Was it 6-2 down? Whatever it was, we were down and we were out, but we fought it back. We got it back, and it was just unbelievable that night. So number one for me is definitely the PSG game at Villa Park as the standout game for us. That's closely followed by the Bayern Munich game as well in the group phase, where a certain Mr. Jean Duran lobs Manuel Neuer, Martinez pulls off a great save towards the end from Harry Kane. It was a bit more back to the wall in terms of opportunities that we had compared to the PSG game, but the Bayern game was unbelievable result there to get that result, and the goal and the audacity of John Duran to kind of see Manuel Neuer off his line and just sort of lob him, and it was preempted. If you listen to the interviews, it's something that Unai Emery kind of picked up on, that Neuer likes to come out of his box and towards the edge of his box and plays high as a goalkeeper, and obviously fed that information into Duran, and Duran knew it as soon as that ball came from Pau Torres. Didn't need to take a touch on it, just help it over, help it along its way up and over Manuel Neuer. And again, the noise, the commentary, everything was just so brilliant. So that is definitely up there as probably the second, but a very close run for the first position for me, the Bayern Munich one there. The third result is Unai Emery's first game in charge. Before he came in, we'd never hardly beaten Man United for a long, long time. I think the run went back to like 1996 or something ridiculous like that. We just hadn't beaten Man United for ages. First game in charge for Unai Emery, and we ended up beating them 3-1. Luca Digne with a peach of a free kick. I remember Leon Bailey scoring in that game as well. And somebody in the comments let me know who got the third. Was it Jacob Ramsey? Can't remember now off the top of my head, but the fantastic result for the first game in charge to beat Man United. And look where our story has gone and where their kind of story is at the moment, in terms of teams and that. So Emery, 3-1, first game of the season, absolutely first class. Another result that sticks out to me is last game of the season of the 2022-23 season, where we needed to beat Brighton to secure 7th position and Europa Conference League qualification. I remember having a little do in the house here, and I was kind of watching it on the big screen, but obviously had a little bit of a party going on. So I was kind of watching it, dipping in and out of it. But to get the win on that one, that's something that stuck out to me as well. Again, I can't remember who scored on that day, but it was a 2-1 win, and we managed to get back into Europe, back into the Conference League. Well, into the Conference League, 7th position secured. So that one that stood out to me. And another result against Brighton that stood out is a 6-1 thrashing of them. I think it was the following season, where I think Ollie Watkins got a hat-trick in that game. So that was a big result for us. And, it's a result that I think, was coming. I think we were putting those sort of performances together. And, we caught Brighton cold, and we just took our chances in that game. It's fantastic. So 6-1 win there. So that's the 5th one. And then we've got results, I remember, around sort of the Christmas period, where we had a run against Manchester City, beat them 1-0. Leon Bailey with that strike, obviously deflecting a little bit and looping into the net. And then we followed it up a week later with a 1-0 win against Arsenal as well. And I think that's, was it John McGinn who scored in that game? Again, correct me if I'm wrong on that one. I can't remember if it was John McGinn against the Arsenal there. But 2 wins against City and Arsenal back-to-back over Christmas. Absolutely fantastic. And then we beat Arsenal again in the reverse fixture, 2-0 at the Emirates. I remember Ollie Watkins scoring in that game. I think he might have scored twice. Yeah, again, let me know in the comments about that one. But the Arsenal game, the 2-0 win at the Emirates, definitely Ollie Watkins scoring one of them. I remember that one. I remember, was it Emil Smith-Rowe trying to get back at him and he sort of loops it over the goalkeeper and in it goes. The next result is, again, another result against Manchester City at Villa Park. 2-1 win. I think it was his last season. John Duran, for Morgan Rogers running through, lovely pass by Tielemans. Rogers unselfishly puts it into Duran, who just clips it over the keeper, 1-0. And then we get a second goal in the second half from Morgan Rogers with that superb solo run from literally the edge of our own box, powering through, lays it off, I think, to McGinn, gets it back from McGinn, the edge of the box or inside the box, and just fires across the goalkeeper to make it 2-0. And we were comfortable in that game. We were outstanding in that game. And the 2-1 result pretty flat as Manchester City on that occasion there. But I thought we were brilliant in that game. And also brilliant in that 1-0 win where Bailey scored as well. Probably one of the best performances from Villa too. So those ones stood out to me. Number 10 in the list, who can forget Lille? Going to Lille, I think we lost the game 2-1, the actual game itself, but we took it to penalties. And that was just nail-biting. The atmosphere was hostile in Lille, and for us to win, obviously Martinez with his shithousery and getting a second yellow card, and everyone thinking, what the hell's going on? And is he being sent off? Is he not being sent off? We all learned a new football rule that night in terms of the yellow cards in a penalty shootout. The yellow cards in a game don't carry over to the penalty shootout. Something that I didn't know before. I thought if you got a yellow card in the game and you messed around in the shootout, that equals 2. But no, we all learned something that night. And Martinez pulling off that save, little dance, little hesitation. Commentators didn't know what was going on as well. So that was kind of funny. I remember Lee Hendry in the Sky studio, really confused about what was going on and sort of watching the screens together and things like that. But yeah, that game against Lille stands out in the memory for me as well. And those are 10 there. And then I'm looking at other ones as well. I mean, we opened our Conference League campaign with a defeat against Legia Walsall in Walsall. That was a bit of an eye-opener rather than a favourite result, but an eye-opener into what European competition is going to look like. And the hostile, the atmosphere in Legia Walsall was intimidating, let's say that. But again, what stood out to me is Zrinski Mostar. First game back at Villa Park in Europe in the Conference League. We were coming into the game big favourites. It was 0-0 until the 89th minute. I was actually flying out this day to go to India. I was watching the game at the airport, so I managed to watch the first half, and then we had to board the plane. So I couldn't watch it obviously then, and I didn't know the result until we actually landed in India, and I got my, signal and all my data back and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it was a 93rd minute winner header from John McGinn. Was it Cash with the cross? So yeah, that was a great feeling to see Villa win that one eventually. And John McGinn getting on the score sheet and the first game back at Villa Park kind of properly in Europe was tremendous. 4-0 win against Ajax at Villa Park again. Tremendous result. I think, what was it? Diaby scored. Duran almost broke the crossbar in two. Ollie Watkins got a header in that game as well for the first goal, I think. Can't remember who got the third goal. Let me know in the comments. And then thrashing of Newcastle 4-1 last season as well at Villa Park. Amadou Onana with a special goal. Remember that one for sure. So that's another one that sort of sticks out to me. And then the 13th one was the Leipzig game in the Champions League last year. 3-2 win. John Duran coming on off the bench to absolutely smash in a goal for us. Ross Barkley getting a goal, deflected a little bit, but we'll take it, and that was a really tough game to play against Leipzig, and what a great result that was. And then the Celtic game, 4-2 win. I think we were 2-0 up within a few minutes. I actually missed a few minutes of the opening few minutes of that game and turned it on, and I saw that it said sort of 1-0 at the top, and then it was showing a replay of the Rogers goal, and I thought that was the opening goal, and then it obviously changed to 2-0. I was like, hang on a minute, I've missed 2 goals. So it was a bit of a weird one there, but yeah, they get it back to 2-2. I think it was Celtic, and then Villa in the second half with Watkins, and then Rodgers completing his hat trick in that game as well. So that was a really memorable kind of result. So for me, that's the 15. I'm going to add a bonus one in terms of the Sunday game against Man City, the 1-0 win. Matty Cash getting a goal there as well. A great finish from him. I haven't done a separate video for that, but I just think that was an absolutely great team performance. I thought Cash was superb. Konsa was brilliant. Onana was brilliant. Kamara, I said in my halftime reaction, he could play for Real Madrid. But what a great result against Manchester City, and again, I think deserved. I think we limited them. Haaland had a chance in the first half. Martinez saves it, puts the ball in the back of the net in the second half, but it's ruled offside, and rightly so. But Villa had chances. McGinn had a chance in the first half, should have scored there really as well. And I just felt like the way that we played, the subs that came on, everyone made a contribution to that. I thought Ross Barkley looked really good when he came on. Marlon running for the shirt, winning throw-ins and winning fouls. Gasson doing well as well, and I've been critical of him. But it was just a really, really good result on Sunday. And we now go on to Liverpool on, I think it's Saturday night, 8:00 kickoff. So that'll be an interesting one under the lights at Anfield to see what we can do there. But I do fancy us under this manager. Anything is possible. This guy's given me so much belief. I mean, I used to love the John Gregory days, Brian Little, Ron Atkinson before that, obviously Martin O'Neill, and those sort of days. But Unai Emery has got us playing football like I've never known Aston Villa to play football, playing out from the back, building it up. I mean, some of the goals that we've scored, and I probably will do a separate video about the best goals under Unai Emery. Let me know if you want to see that, by the way. Like and comment on that one, and I'll pick out my sort of 15 best goals. But a lot of those goals are going to be probably team goals where we've seen it start with Martinez and build up. And we've had goals where every single player has touched the ball before we score. And it's something that, you just never thought you'd see at Aston Villa. Obviously, I've been supporting them since sort of 1990. The way that we're playing now it's unbelievable. And when it is right, when he gets it right, it is so good to watch. So good to watch. So yeah, guys, I'll leave it there. If you like, if you made it through the end of this video, please do like, subscribe, comment your thoughts as well about, what games sort of stick in the memory to you, what goals stick in the memory for you as well. That'd be good to hear. With any sort of special goals that come to mind. I said I might do a separate video about that. Let me know if you want to see that. But yeah, if you made it this far in the video, we're 18 minutes in. Do me a favor, smash a like for Unai Emery's 3 years in charge, my best 15 games. We'll go for a like target. We'll go big for this one. We'll go 50. We'll go 5-0. Come on, let's do that. Do me a favor. Let's get 50 likes on the video. Like, subscribe, comment, guys, and I will see you back again soon. Bye for now.